So, welcome to the review of That Man Solomon Part 1, 2, and 3. Oh, and we have a new Holy Cow teaser too. So, talking about That Man Solomon Part 2 and 3, I've talked about Part 1 in detail. So, I'll try to keep this one short, hopefully. As usual, I had to read a lot, so, like a couple of days. Uh, so there is a lot of connecting things now. In the first part, there was Solomon uh, in terms of his origin story. So, like I talked about earlier, in these books like Agori 3, he was introduced. Then there is a bit like 10-page story in this later part, Bloodlines, and then this was pretty much around Solomon, and then this entire story that happens in Bloodlines, um, that features the character of Solomon alongside Veera, that is Agori, and also you have returning characters that are Velu and Galbraith. So they kind of play off each other. And then you have Abhaya. So Abhaya is a character from the Age of Immortals. So this brilliant story arc. It is more into the realm of gods, immortals, some monsters, and really out there, like in terms of the supernatural elements, like the dream realm and so on. So Solomon, this story arc 1, 2, 3, 4, it's kind of expanding and connecting to a lot of these story threads that HC Holy Cow verse is popular for among its fans and readers. There is also connection to the last Asuran. So in the last Asuran, you see the character of Desh, and you see Abhaya. I think I might be mistaken. Does Abhaya appear in Age of Immortals? Probably not. So you see this giant worm and one immortal that features in, surprise, surprise, the Age of Immortals. But yeah, so all these characters kind of make an appearance, and it's also around the timeline. So basically, Solomon's flashback you saw earlier in like 80s Mumbai or 80s Bombay, but this is like a kind of a later time period in which he's alongside these other characters. So you see Abhaya feature prominently in Last Asuran Part 2, and she makes a comeback in this book. So it's around the same time. So when Part 4 is there, I'll try to explain things more, and then I'll do a kind of spoiler, not spoiler free, I'll do a spoiler review and analysis of the story arc. So let me quickly come to my notes on part 2 and part 3. I'll do a separate bit about the art, uh, but some of my notes that I felt. So the Holy Cow verse has been built in the most organic way through the years. So like you can almost see the vision. So now they have done like the 14th anniversary, and even if you read the earlier books, it all feels so organic. Like one character will be introduced in the story, then they'll try to do a effort to kind of describe the character, give it a little origin story, give it a little detailing. So that vision is always consistently there in all the books. uh, Solomon also, it has been very well kind of developed through the years. And Solomon's kind of, so obviously these stories give Sudeep a chance to flesh out his entire world. But he, I think, kind of had the vision and the idea that he has built upon, and he sounds very passionate even in kind of the letters, right, that he has written, like how. And I think that was there in Aghori 3, in which he has written about Solomon's character in great detail. I think Aghori 3 or Aghori 9 is where. So this is where he has written uh, point blank about his inspiration and how he's passionate about Solomon. So it's only fitting that he gets to tell this story in this beautiful 4-volume series. Some of the older issues I've talked about, I've spoken about characters of Aghori, Kali, and Krona. Not essentially uh, matter, may or may not matter in these volumes. There is like supernatural, there is immortal, there is character of Andhaka. I could also see like this kind of playful character in some of the early Aghori books. You have Koka and Vikoka. So like similar, I think kind of the germ might have been born there of playing off these two characters. Then you have Velu and Galbraith. So they feature alongside Desh in Aghori 10 and Bloodlines or Bloodlines number 2. There is also Abhaya connection. So Abhaya featured, and I should have probably read my notes earlier before messing it up. One detailing I liked, not one detailing, there's lots of detailing, but there is this bit about Solomon's flashback, and he lives with this woman called Ansi, and so this bit here, and she's reading a book by Dostoevsky called The Brothers Karamazov, and it's like all her sons are named after the characters of that novel. So there's amazing kind of detailing. So I think that's what Sudeep has also written somewhere, that these are not your cardboard gangster characters. They have like different phases, emotions, good and bad, aspirations. So what I felt as a reader was, I'm not a big fan of like this sort of anti-hero which you don't really care for, right? So personally, I don't care what happens to Solomon because he's so detestable. I think right from the first appearance that he does in this book, uh, I don't think you will love this character or want to know about him. But I think that's a challenging thing as a writer to sort of keep the storytelling compelling, and that's what happens in many gangster films. You just are like, why will I even watch this for 2 hours? And some films that make prove you wrong are a success, and some are not. So recently, like, I tortured myself through Thug Life. uh, I should have believed the reviews, but I just made myself sit through that torture, and that's what happens in that. Although, to its credit, there are few things that are good, like it uses some tropes well. Like in gangster films, there's always this trope of the one who can never die. So this I also saw in like Solomon, and I mean, this comic book takes it to different kind of different dimensions. But in Thug Life, you have those tropes, and also like the revenge story, like when this main character tries to take revenge, and which we might see in the last part. Uh, there's always this thing about like they will want to take revenge from 4 characters, and then one character like take them on their side to kind of get more details around the others. So these are like crime genre kind of tropes. uh, then repercussion of events of fallout. So part 2 mainly starts with the immediate fallout of like what happens at the end of part 1. And there is this kind of twist, like supernatural twist, that I would want you to read, and it really keeps the storytelling very fresh. Part two is very high on action. There is returning characters, which is pretty much made clear from here. Like Abhaya features prominently, and there's very good action. There is lot of tongue-in-cheek humor that Sudeep plays with very well, and then part three, like I said, it has a beautiful Varanasi open, like 9 years old flashback sequence, and this is really beautiful. And then it has those Age of Immortals character play the main part here. So one immortal, and it has a lot of beautiful sequences, because in part one there was this establishment of a tribal kind of beat, uh, like the Konka tribe, and then how that element uh, combines with this immortals element in this story. There's a pyramid. Uh, so these kind of fantastical and supernatural elements are blended in very well, and you almost reach a point where you're like, okay, I'm really interested in that now, because it's like different genres that are being blended. But then you come back to Solomon. So it's kind of a mixed thing, because when you get invested in like one kind of genre within a book, and then suddenly says, hey, but we want to tell you about Solomon, then you're like, okay. uh, but I think that is important to bring the story back to the central character, so that you are more revved up for the last part. So I am really interested. I wish there was more of these. So if Vivek ji can or Sudeep can write like that last bit they used to write in many comic books, it will be really interesting to see their view. But other than that, I mean, this is a very entertaining book, like all of Holy Cow books, and where it ends at the last frame, I can kind of predict what's going to happen, but uh, I would love to be proved wrong uh, in terms of how the story concludes. And again, some brilliant art. So we'll look at some art pages also in another bit, but this was pretty much my views on this book. So I've just written some more notes, like it's all connected, moves along nicely with second and third part. While the first volume creates a vast canvas for Solomon's life in countryside Goa as Bada Patrao, full of colorful characters and different conflicts, uh, and that kind of setting was there. From part two, or like second half of first part, you get like a lot of crazy elements that are there, like vampires, hunters, creatures, and different kind of developments. So, and then flashback is another interesting part of these books, as always with the story of Solomon. And so yeah, I've talked about all those things. So positives and negatives. Positives, definitely such an interesting mix of genres, and storytelling also is very key here. Uh, Negatives, yeah, sometimes things tend to be a little unidimensional, like in terms of the crime genre, and you can't help it. Some other tropes also, and that is pretty much it. And I'll wait to like talk more when the fourth volume is out, and it should be pretty soon. So that was about That Man Solomon Born Again, 2 and 3. So now we have 1, 2, and 3. So eagerly waiting for part 4. Thank you for watching. So I'll try to show some inside art of these Solomon books. We have 3 books, but I'm assuming the first book has been out. So and I showed it last time. So we'll not delve much into the first book. Mostly I'll try to share some of the inputs with regards to how art has helped with the storytelling. So this was the first part. Now I have to be careful in kind of the spoilers, but as you know, this is like a 4 part story, so there will be characters and there will be like episodes. So I'll try to show you some of the art that is significant or very vital in these two and three parts. So this is that kind of flashback sequence that was great in part one. So part two opens with that sequence. Then you see a lot of color in the art here. So this is like the aftermath sequence. The action is given a lot of color and vibrance despite the sequences being very dark. And this second volume is very high on action. So you can see like, and this whole thing about the action happening in rain makes it very cinematic. So as you can see, the wonderful action panels are here flowing with energy, pun intended. So you have a lot of sequences of Abhaya. So Abhaya is a title character, it's a returning character of from the Age of Immortals. And she even says she's Abhaya. So yeah, so there's a lot of use of color in this, and some sequences also have this type of art. So you will be reminded of different art of Holy Cow books, especially of these characters. So this maintains some kind of continuity, and rain is a constant kind of element. So there's a lot of cinematic kind of flow that is seen in Sudeep's writing. And there is, I would not want to spoil it, but this is pretty much the art of part two. Um, so, and if you want to see, like, if you are willing to, take spoilers, then you can see some of my that I had put a short in which I do a flip through. So, part three mainly focuses on these two return characters. So, pretty much makes the intention clear. So, first part was setting up this whole premise of where Solomon is currently, like a retirement party kind of thing, and his entire extended family. Then you see the families standing in the same way, and this is pretty cool. But the kind of focus or the main character changes in each volume, and as you can expect, the last one will be like coming together and resolving all these different threads which have been building up. So the kind of grand open of part 3 is with this again flashback sequence, and this is just great. This might remind you of few art styles. I'm not versed with that much, but kind of reminds me of like the monotone used in some of the comic books. Reminds me of like Sin City or some of Mike Mignolia. So this is the kind of origin story or flashback of one character, and instead of 2 pages, now you get more. So you get extended almost 6 pages of this flashback, and then you get back to that colorful thing. And part 4 also tells the story of immortals. So there is a completely different style. It will remind you of some of the art styles in Maharavan also. Sorry, not Maharavan, that's different publisher. Uh, this is Ravanayan. So this kind of an art style like black and white will remind you of a different period in time. And then uh, there is a lot of things happening in the art style also, and it kind of connects to the different sort of story arcs of Holy Cow itself. So this will remind you of Age of Immortals, the sort of panels and sort of flow. So definitely a lot to take in, but then if you read these books, you'll appreciate, and as with all the Holy Cow books on multiple reads, you'll be able to like appreciate it even more. So lot is happening in terms of the art, but it all falls in fact, sometimes when you read the third part, you get very confused. I didn't get that kind of confusion while reading part 2 and part 3. I've read them twice now, and I'm really ready for part 4, because that will be very entertaining to read Solomon's conclusion. So yeah, that's about this look inside in the art pages. Just another final word. I just checked out Holy Cow site. Also, I was trying to create that teaser and get some information. So just saw that there's a lot of good deals and a lot of good discounts on the Holy Cow books. So if you want to like get some of the collector's edition or like the Hindi translated ones, it's a great time because there are great discounts running. And there's also this book called Warehouse, which like ran out of print, and I just see like very rarely I see that like some old copies, but there is a new print that is in process by Vivek ji of the Warehouse. Like these were two books written by Shweta Taneja. I think the Warehouse and Skull Rosary, which was also very famous. So there's a Hindi version of Skull Rosary and Warehouse, the original English thing. So they are available. So definitely try to get them to complete your Holy Cow collection, and also like try to get check out like more of stuff on their website. It's really at great prices for any Holy Cow collector. That's about it. Also, another very small detail, unless you come at me with all guns blazing, there is a change, small changes in the creative team from volume 1 to 2 to 3. So, in the first one, you saw like Gaurav Srivastav and Avinash behind the art, and second one, you have. Sorry, this is the second one. Second one, I think Gaurav is not there. You have Puneet Shukla and Avinash. So you see slight changes, but the cover is done by Gaurav, and third he's back, I think. So yeah, Gaurav and Avinash. So there are just some slight changes. Thought I would let you know.